Hey, it's Deborah Marsh from the Law Office of Deborah Marsh. So today I'm going to talk to you about what to do when you are pulled over by the police in your vehicle. In particular, I want you to understand what your rights are and what the limitations of the law are in this instance. So here we go. Let me start by going through a few scenarios to help illustrate these rights and limitations. So Mrs. Williams, she's driving down the street. She starts to speed. So she gets pulled over for speeding. And so the cop walks up to her car to give her a speeding ticket. But as she's rolling down the window, a big woof of smoke comes out. And, the officer looks in the car and notices in the ashtray, in plain view, a cigarette that looks like a marijuana cigarette. The officer obviously doesn't have a warrant, but the officer says, Mrs. Williams, step out of the car. I'm going to search your vehicle. Is that legal? As I said, there's no warrant. The scope of the search was the speeding. So now the officer has extended the scope of that. And it wasn't the search. The scope of the stop was the speeding. And now the officer wants to extend the search, the stop, and exceed the scope by now searching the car without a warrant. Is that legal? What do you think? 5, 4, I'm going to give you 5 seconds. 3, 2, and 1. And the answer is yes, it's legal. It's legal because even though there is no warrant, there's probable cause. And what is the probable cause in this instance? You have a marijuana cigarette in plain view. So the defendant has now given that officer probable cause that there is perhaps a crime being committed. And there is, right? You're not allowed to drive around smoking a marijuana cigarette. I mean, even in those states that allow you to smoke marijuana, like the District of Columbia, there's still a prohibition against smoking and driving. They view the smoking of marijuana the way they view drinking alcohol. So you can't drink and drive, you can't smoke and drive. So now there's probable cause, and so they are allowed to search even though they don't have a search warrant. Let's do scenario number 2. So scenario number 2 is Mr. Williams that's driving this time. And Mr. Williams is driving down the street and he doesn't turn on his indicator when he makes a turn. And so the cop pulls him over and says, Mr. Williams, we've pulled you over because you didn't indicate. And that's a crime. It's actually one of the rules that you have to follow by in most of the states. And so the cop looks at Mr. Williams and just doesn't like the look of him. I don't know, something about that guy. I just don't like the look at him. His teeth is too buff. It could be a multitude of reasons. They just don't like the look of him. And then they say, there's something about him that I'm suspicious of. I'm going to search his vehicle. So they say, Mr. Williams, step out the car. I'm going to search your vehicle. And of course, that is a violation. It's a violation of his Fourth Amendment rights because you can't stop and search. Even though we have the vehicle exception, it doesn't extend to just having a hunch. It doesn't extend to, I don't like the look of him. You have to have probable cause. And so when the police search the vehicle, there's half a kilo of cocaine in the trunk. And that's irrelevant. It's still an illegal search. Let's do one more. Mr. Williams, instead of saying, the cops saying that they're going to search his vehicle, they say, Mr. Williams, I would like to search your vehicle. And he says, yeah, sure, go ahead. He's consented. So in that instance, there's actually nothing wrong that's happened. You've consented. What should have happened, you've got half a kilo of coke in your trunk. You say no. You can't say yes. But maybe you don't know your rights. Maybe you don't know that you are allowed to say no to a search, because unless there is probable cause, unless there was something, then they cannot just search your vehicle. Probable cause can be gleaned from several different ways. It could be in plain view, as I said with Mrs. Williams, when they saw the marijuana cigarette in her car. Sometimes they use canine dogs, and they're allowed to tell you to wait there for a minute while they call in the KI unit and do a sniff of your vehicle. And if there's canine alerts to the presence of drugs, then they have now got probable cause to search your vehicle. But in lieu of that, if there is no probable cause, you're well within your rights to say no. Just a quick side note, if they feel, and they have to, I say it with some particularized reason that their life is in danger, they can pat you down. They can pat you down to make sure that there is nothing that is a dangerous weapon if they feel that their life is in danger. There you have it. When you get stopped, know your rights. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.